The possibility that Tomb Raider Catalyst could adopt a fully open world structure has quietly become one of the most divisive talking points in the community. And interestingly, we don't have confirmation yet. So why are fans already split? Since the Survivor trilogy, Tomb Raider 2013, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the franchise has steadily moved toward larger hub-based environments. By TT and Shadow, for example, was practically a proto-open world test space. Open worlds in video games aren't always a bad thing. From a business standpoint, open world games dominate sales charts. They extend engagement time. They allow for live service potentially, if that's for you. And they align with modern AAA expectations. If Crystal Dynamics and Amazon are aiming for mass market impact, open world could be a strategy. So why would this raise flags to players? Well, first, let's remember that this is a Tomb Raider video specifically. Elephant in the room, open world simply doesn't belong everywhere. Take Ubisoft, for example. Assassin's Creed went the ARPG route with AC Origins, stepping away from their roots and giving the players a far less linear experience with Assassin's Creed games, to put it simply. I think for a lot of players it felt fresh at first. Now clearly, not all classic AC fans approved of the pace shift. There'll always be division, but I mean fair to them. I was adjusting to the shift myself. I wasn't completely mad at it. It's not like they'll crutch this tactic to the death of the franchise, right? What's up? They did it again? And again. Well, I mean, fans have been waiting a while for... Wait, I mean... What the... Alright, so we know open world games are phenomenal when they're in their own lane, but does that mean that same formula applies to everything? Especially to those that have built their legacy off of a completely different formula. I'll be honest, I've enjoyed experimental games before, but it's the copy-paste objective slop spread over a scaled world that makes it eventually feel bland. Then there are worlds where each region feels alive and unique in its own way, like Skyrim for example. Having to adapt to the environment schedule, laws, guilds, characters, and unique quests make a game like so feel alive. It isn't just a massive scale, it's an actual world. Now this video isn't about open world games in general, I'm just skimming a few factors taken into consideration by gamers when we choose such games. So I want to get back on the topic of Tomb Raider because we're here to discuss what Crystal Dynamics has confirmed, what rumors have been leaked, and why, if this is true, could potentially make or break their momentum. Alright, so Tomb Raider is originally a linear exploration, open area, puzzle, action platformer that's slowly inched its way toward a linear, semi-open, hub-based action adventure title. According to VScooper and Insider on X, Tomb Raider Catalyst is indeed to be a fully open world title. At least that's what the leaks claim. They seem imminent on this coming to reality for the franchise, and you could say they gained a slight credibility due to former rumors of the setting for Catalyst being correct. However, without knowing their sources, this is just speculatory, going off of screenshots and trailer scenes, which is pretty much all that we have to go off of at the moment, other than announcements directly from the developers themselves. And to be fair to them, they've only recently started covering games in their scoops in comparison to film entertainment, so I wouldn't jump on this as any sort of confirmation. But it is out there. We'll just have to wait and see. What we do know from Crystal Dynamics is that Catalyst is prepared to be the largest Tomb Raider title of the franchise so far. We know that the game as of now will consist of different biomes, it sounds like, based off of the way Amazon Games describes the world. We understand that Lara will have custom tailored adventure tech allowing her to solve puzzles and traverse the landscape as usual, but I think that's where people can begin to speculate as well, because that term is broad. Hearing the largest Tomb Raider world yet, and words like traversal and referring to the world as a playground can definitely get one to assume, yeah, open world potential. But honestly, at this point, that can mean anything. Scott Amos confirms it will be the largest Tomb Raider they've ever made, claiming the environment naturally invites exploration. Yet this doesn't confirm scope or that it's an actual fully open world. Will Kerslake backs Amos with the opportunity for exploration, but claims to speak more on how it relates to the plot later on. Honestly, I'm not completely opposed to an open world Tomb Raider, but I'm not completely fond of it either. Mainly because I don't know how a Tomb Raider game would translate to an open world to be able to say that I like it or not. I know that there's pressure on companies to keep making these games more and more bloated, as I mentioned earlier, just to hit a minimal expectation producing in the industry. I assume in a lot of ways making a Tomb Raider game open world can make the game immersive in some ways, as far as being in the shoes of Lara Croft, actually having to be out there in the world, and the satisfaction of uncovering tombs sounds pretty cool in theory. But I take into consideration, with this being the first Tomb Raider game in years that's supposed to catch us up and move the plot forward, rather than focusing too much on spectacle or being too afraid to stick to what your roots are, given the way the modern gaming market demand has been going. I hope that they're able to focus on story primarily with the way that they've hyped things up. Say hypothetically they went this route. If you're able to deliver a massive scale world, at least in comparison to Tomb Raider, giving the player free roam and the ability to discover aspects of the game at their own pace across different regions, bringing back all the iconic aspects fans love about Lara Croft herself in a title that's the most important since the WoW era, but fail to pack enough attention and care into the actual story to make it relevant or fit into this world, then I don't care about the glamour at all. If the company was to pull this off, then more flowers to them. The question is, would this decision be from the heart, or is the company pressured to try to reach certain expectations? I love open world games for what they are, and I could be wrong in saying that gamers don't want every game to follow the same formula. Take Wukong for example. It was a breath of fresh air, and for majority of the game, it was a straight and narrow experience, with some exploration elements here and there. Now, for a second playing this game, did you care about invisible barriers or were unimmersed from the linear experience? At least I wasn't. And the game did an amazing job delivering the experience that was intended for the players because it didn't give a fuck about anything but being consistent with what it was supposed to be. Again, we have no clue what Crystal Dynamics plans to do with this title, but let's not pretend that everything has to be open world because you want to have longevity in today's market. I think people can have a true appreciation for games tailored as a single player experience with a linear story, and the ability to play the game without having to be online the entire time, even though it's just you in the world. I understand a lot of companies could do this for authentication purposes, cloud saves, etc., but they don't have to. These things can cause a subpar experience for gamers who don't have the strongest connection always, or don't have the time of day to put 16 hours into a game just so they can get to the next story objective. Maybe they just want to be disconnected and plug and play the game they purchased. Remember those days? I don't know, maybe I'm getting old, man. I'm just saying this is more important when it affects single player titles that don't need to abide by these DRM standards at all to have a great game that respects players' time and is just as impactful. It's just a business decision, and good on them, I guess. But you let me know what you think. The game ain't even out the gate yet, and I'll turn this video into something else. But if it's being considered, I'm just questioning the motivation is all. Doesn't mean it'll kill the game. I'm still gonna see about it for myself, and we'll know when the time comes. I'm just making this video to state that games shouldn't make their titles open world hollowly for the reasons above, and how that can ruin the title, not because it's experimental, but going back to that trying to please all, even if it isn't in the nature of your production. And with a title like Tomb Raider, if it was hypothetically going to be an experimental game sincerely for the reasons fans had desired, or it was genuinely something devs had planned to implement, then shit, I'm not mad at the franchise attempting something new. That way I trust the game would be tailored around the lore in the Tomb Raider universe, and wouldn't have to worry about repetitive, empty XP quests or the classic Far Cry, which I used to love, base takeovers. Actually, I still like these when they're not used to force players in the endless runtime to fill a gap that should have been plots. Then the story of a seasoned, modern Lara Croft wouldn't be watered down by this decision, and if all fails, dust off and get back to your roots like you claim to be doing with the Legacy of Atlantis. But if you drop LOA claiming you're trying to unify the fan base, then immediately after drop an open world slop game, the trailer announcement was just disingenuous, and it wasn't you simply trying to reunite your fan base, but trying to reach a new market entirely, and that's fine. But be aware, if you're completely careless about what your fans want, or what's relevant to the universe, you could further push that very fan base and could topple that hype for the franchise all over again. I started this as a completely opinionated video, but I decided to look around and see how other players were feeling about these rumors, and well,
no.
Scroll after scroll, and majority of players are not too excited about a potentially open world Tomb Raider, with a minority open to it and the median of players leaning either way, hoping that if they did go this route that they'll do it right. Majority of players are flat out against it for the reasons listed above. People are tired of the Assassin's Creed style bloated world skin, and it's gotten players worried that games that shouldn't be particularly open world will slip into the same mess as Ubisoft. And they were one of my favorite fucking gaming companies growing up. Look at some of these sentiments though, I mean some of them are kind of funny. With all that being said, the team seems both pressured yet prepared and focused on delivering what the fans want. They say they're listening closely, so if this is true, we shouldn't expect a completely open world Tomb Raider. But at the same time, the bones they do throw can cause one to speculate for sure. Anyway, I just wanted to get on here today and cover that there is no evidence currently that Tomb Raider Catalyst will be open world. But I did want to state my thoughts on it and what some players may feel about the decision if it were true. Open world games can be a great thing where they belong. Like games experimenting can be beneficial if executed properly. Get in the comments and state your opinion. Tell me, do you want an open world Tomb Raider right now? Do you think that they should pump the brakes if they were to attempt an open world? Or just tell us how you feel about open world titles today in general. But do hit that like button if you want a like-minded person to discover this video and join the discussion. I'd love to have you again, so don't forget to subscribe to become an assassin and join the nation today. I'll be seeing you assassins soon. I'm out.